Aquarius, 12 inner movements that could redefine your path. There are changes that the whole world can see. A new home, a different relationship, a career shift that announces itself with unmistakable clarity. But the changes that matter most, the ones that truly redefine the direction of your life, almost always begin in places no one else can observe. They begin inside you, in the quiet territories of thought and feeling and spiritual awareness, where the real architecture of your existence is being constructed. And right now, Aquarius, there are movements happening within you that are so significant, so quietly powerful, that they have the potential to reshape everything about the path that stretches before you. These are not dramatic upheavals. They are subtle shifts, internal recalibrations, the kind of deep inner work that happens when a soul has lived long enough and learned enough to be ready for genuine transformation. Today we are going to explore 12 of these movements, and as you listen, pay attention to which ones resonate most deeply. Because the ones that stir something inside you are the ones that are already active in your life, whether you have recognized them or not. Movement 1. The first inner movement is a dissolving of the need to be understood. For most of your life, Aquarius, there has been a part of you that longed for someone, anyone, to truly see and comprehend the way your mind works, the way you experience the world, the depth and complexity of your inner landscape. That longing was not weakness. It was a natural human desire for connection and recognition. But something is changing now. You are beginning to find peace in the space between who you are and what others can perceive about you. Not because you have given up on connection, but because you have discovered something far more valuable than being understood by others. You are beginning to understand yourself. And that self-understanding, that intimate, honest, compassionate knowing of your own nature, is creating a kind of inner stability that does not depend on anyone else's perception. This is a freedom that many people never find, and you are finding it now in this season of your life, through the accumulated wisdom of every experience you have ever had. The need to be understood was always at its root a need to feel validated. And now you are learning to validate yourself, to trust your own perceptions, to honor your own truth even when no one else can see it. This is not arrogance or isolation. It is the deepest form of self-respect, and it changes the way you move through every interaction, every relationship, every encounter with the world around you. Movement 2. The second movement is a gradual release of the stories you have told yourself about who you are. We all carry narratives about ourselves, stories that began in childhood and were reinforced by decades of repetition until they felt as solid and permanent as stone. I am the responsible one. I am the one who gives more than I receive. I am the one who thinks too much. I am the one who does not quite fit. These stories served a purpose once. They helped you make sense of your experience and navigate a complicated world. But now, Aquarius, some of those stories are beginning to crack. Not because they were entirely false, but because they were incomplete. They captured one aspect of who you were at a particular time, and then you carried them forward as if they were the whole truth. The movement happening inside you now is a willingness to question those narratives, to hold them up to the light and ask, is this still true? Was it ever the whole truth? And what might be possible if I set this story down? This questioning is not a crisis of identity. It is an expansion of identity, a recognition that you are too vast, too multifaceted, too dynamically alive to be contained by any single story. You are the author, Aquarius, not the character. And the author has the power to write new chapters that no previous narrative could have predicted. Movement 3. The third inner movement is a softening of your relationship with time. You have spent much of your life aware of time in a way that was both a gift and a burden. Always conscious of how much has passed, how much might remain, how quickly moments slip from present to memory. But something is shifting in how you experience temporality. The urgency that used to drive you, the sense that you needed to accomplish everything before some invisible deadline, is beginning to ease. In its place, a different relationship with time is emerging. One that is more spacious, more present, more rooted in the understanding that the quality of your moments matters far more than the quantity of your achievements. This softening does not mean you have stopped caring about making the most of your life. It means you have redefined what making the most actually means. It is less about doing and more about being. Less about crossing things off a list and more about savoring the richness of each experience as it unfolds. And in this softer relationship with time, you are discovering something paradoxical. The less you chase, the more arrives. The less you rush, the more you accomplish. The less you worry about the future, the more beautifully the present reveals itself. Movement 4. The fourth movement is an awakening of gratitude that goes deeper than anything you have experienced before. This is not the polite, surface-level thankfulness that you express when things go well. This is a bone-deep appreciation for the entirety of your journey, including the parts that were painful, confusing, or seemingly purposeless. You are beginning to see the thread that connects every experience, the invisible logic that turned your losses into lessons and your detours into discoveries. And this seeing fills you with a kind of gratitude that has no opposite, because it includes everything. The beautiful and the brutal, the triumphant and the tragic, the moments of clarity and the years of confusion. All of it is worthy of thanks, because all of it brought you to exactly where you stand today. This deeper gratitude is not something you can manufacture or force. It arises naturally when you have lived long enough and reflected deeply enough to see the larger pattern of your life. And once it arises, it changes the color of everything. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The mundane becomes sacred. The daily routines that you used to perform on autopilot become opportunities for presence and appreciation. This is not a small shift, Aquarius. This is a transformation of your entire orientation toward existence, and it is one of the most powerful movements happening within you right now. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Movement 5. The fifth inner movement is a reclaiming of your intuition as a legitimate source of knowledge. For much of your life, your brilliant analytical mind has been the primary tool you use to navigate the world. And it served you extraordinarily well. Your ability to think clearly, to see patterns, to reason through complex situations is one of your greatest strengths. But alongside that analytical power, there has always been another way of knowing operating within you. A quieter, more immediate form of understanding that does not rely on logic or evidence. Your intuition. And for years you may have dismissed it, overridden it, or simply failed to notice it because the volume of your thinking mind was turned up so high. But now, Aquarius, the balance is shifting. You are learning to listen to both channels simultaneously, to honor the whispers of intuition alongside the clarity of reason. And what you are discovering is that these two ways of knowing are not in conflict. They are complementary. Your intuition often knows things before your mind can prove them. It picks up on subtle signals, on energy, on the unspoken currents that flow beneath the surface of every situation. And when you combine that intuitive awareness with your formidable intellect, you become extraordinarily perceptive, capable of navigating complexity with a wisdom that neither faculty could achieve alone. This reclaiming of intuition is particularly significant at this stage of your life, because intuition deepens with age and experience. The older you get, the more data your unconscious mind has to draw from, the more patterns it has observed, the more nuances it can detect. Your intuition right now is sharper and more reliable than it has ever been. Trust it. Movement 6. The sixth movement is a fundamental shift in how you define strength. For decades, being strong meant enduring, persisting, holding it together no matter what life threw at you. And you did that beautifully, Aquarius. You held it together through situations that would have broken many people. But now your understanding of strength is evolving. You are beginning to see that true strength is not about how much you can endure. It is about how honestly you can feel. It is not about never breaking down. It is about having the courage to break open. This shift may manifest as a greater willingness to express vulnerability, to admit when you are struggling, to ask for help without shame. It may show up as tears that come more easily, as a softening around the edges of your carefully maintained composure. And none of this means you are becoming weaker. It means you are becoming strong enough to be real, strong enough to drop the armor that protected you but also imprisoned you, strong enough to let the world see you as you actually are rather than as you thought you needed to be. This redefinition of strength is one of the most liberating movements you will ever experience, because it releases you from the exhausting performance of invulnerability and allows your genuine, complex, beautifully imperfect humanity to shine through. Movement 7. The seventh inner movement is a reconnection with your body as a source of wisdom. Aquarius lives so much in the realm of thought and idea that the physical body can sometimes feel like an afterthought, a vehicle that carries the mind from place to place without receiving much attention or appreciation. But something is changing in your relationship with your physical self. You are beginning to notice the messages your body sends you. The tension that gathers in your shoulders when you are carrying too much, the heaviness in your chest when you are suppressing an emotion, the lightness that fills you when you are doing something that truly aligns with your spirit. These signals were always there, but you are hearing them now with a clarity that was not available to you before. And as you listen, you are discovering that your body holds wisdom that your mind alone cannot access. It knows things about your emotional state, your energy levels, your deepest needs that no amount of thinking could reveal. This reconnection is not about becoming obsessed with physical health or appearance. It is about honoring the instrument through which you experience everything. Every relationship, every sunset, every moment of joy or sorrow or quiet wonder. Your body has carried you through every single day of your life, faithfully and without complaint. And now, by paying attention to it, by treating it with the respect and gratitude it deserves, you are opening a channel of communication that enriches every other aspect of your existence. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Movement 8. The 8th movement is a deepening capacity for forgiveness, not the forced teeth-gritting kind that you perform because you think you should, but the genuine heart-expanding kind that comes from truly understanding the humanity in yourself and others. You have carried some grievances for a long time, Aquarius. Not necessarily out of malice, but out of a sense of justice, a feeling that certain wrongs should not go unacknowledged, that certain betrayals deserve to be remembered. And you were not wrong to feel that way. But now something is softening inside you. A growing recognition that holding on to those grievances has been hurting you more than anyone else. Forgiveness, you are discovering, is not about excusing what happened or pretending it was acceptable. It is about freeing yourself from the ongoing cost of carrying it. It is about deciding that the space those old wounds occupy in your heart would be better used for something else. For peace, for joy, for the kind of lightness that makes each day a gift rather than a burden. This capacity for forgiveness extends to yourself as well. The mistakes you have made, the opportunities you missed, the words you wish you could take back, the paths you wish you had chosen differently. All of these deserve the same compassion you are learning to extend to others. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. And that, Aquarius, is enough. It has always been enough. Movement 9. The 9th inner movement is a growing comfort with solitude that feels less like loneliness and more like companionship with yourself. There was a time when being alone might have felt like evidence of something missing, a gap in your life where connection should be. But now, Aquarius, solitude is becoming something you actively seek and deeply cherish. Not because you have given up on people, but because you have discovered that the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation upon which every other relationship stands. In your quiet hours, alone with your thoughts and your tea, and the gentle sound of your own breathing, you are finding a richness that no social gathering can match. You are having conversations with yourself that are more honest, more illuminating, more nourishing than many of the conversations you have with others. This is not antisocial behavior. This is the mark of someone who has matured enough to enjoy their own company, to find endless fascination in the workings of their own mind, to sit in silence and feel not empty but full. This comfort with solitude is also giving you a clearer perspective on your social connections, helping you distinguish between the relationships that truly nourish you and the ones you maintain out of habit or obligation. Movement 10. The 10th movement is a quiet revolution in your values, not a dramatic abandonment of everything you used to believe, but a gentle recalibration that brings your outer life into greater alignment with your inner truth. Values that you absorbed from your upbringing, your culture, your social environment are being examined with fresh eyes, and some of them are being released because they no longer fit the person you have become. This is not rebellion. This is authenticity. It takes a lifetime to truly distinguish between the values that are genuinely yours and the ones that were handed to you by others. And now, with the perspective that only comes from decades of living, you are finally able to make that distinction with clarity and confidence. The values that remain after this recalibration will be unshakable, because they will be truly yours, chosen, tested, and affirmed by the full weight of your experience. And living in alignment with those chosen values creates a sense of integrity and wholeness that nothing external can provide. Movement 11. The 11th inner movement is a rekindling of hope that is different from the naive optimism of youth. This is a seasoned hope, a hope that has survived disappointment and disillusionment and come out the other side stronger and more resilient. You have seen enough of life to know that things do not always work out the way you want them to. You have experienced loss, setback, and the kind of quiet heartbreak that leaves no visible scars but changes you permanently. And yet, here you are still hoping, still believing that good things are possible, still looking toward the future with a sense of anticipation rather than dread. This is remarkable, Aquarius, and it speaks to a depth of spirit that is truly extraordinary. The hope you are feeling now is not blind or foolish. It is rooted in evidence, in the lived experience of having survived every difficult chapter and discovered beauty in unexpected places. It is a hope that says, I know the world is imperfect and I choose to believe in possibility anyway. And that kind of hope, the kind that persists in the face of full awareness, is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Movement 12. The 12th and final inner movement is perhaps the most profound of all, a growing acceptance of your own wholeness. Not perfection, but wholeness. The recognition that you do not need to add anything to yourself, fix anything about yourself, or become anyone other than who you already are to be worthy of love, respect, and a beautiful life. This acceptance has been a long time coming. You have spent decades measuring yourself against standards that were never yours, comparing yourself to images of success or happiness or fulfillment that had nothing to do with your actual nature. And now, finally, blessedly, you are setting all of that down and looking at yourself with eyes that see clearly. What you see is not perfect, but it is whole. It is complete. It is a fully realized human being with a unique combination of strengths and vulnerabilities, wisdom and wonder, scars and starlight. And that human being, exactly as they are in this moment, is more than enough. These 12 movements are not happening in isolation, Aquarius. They are weaving together inside you, creating a tapestry of transformation that is quietly redefining the path ahead. You do not need to manage or control this process. You do not need to understand every thread or predict the final pattern. You just need to let it happen, to trust the intelligence of your own evolution, to give yourself permission to become whoever you are becoming without trying to direct the outcome. The path that is being redefined is not someone else's version of a good life. It is yours, uniquely and entirely yours, shaped by your experiences, your insights, your struggles, and your unquenchable spirit. And wherever it leads, it will be exactly where you are meant to go. Not because fate has predetermined your destination, but because you are finally listening to the compass that has been inside you all along. That compass does not point toward perfection or achievement or anyone else's approval. It points toward truth, your truth, and following it with all the courage and grace you can muster is the greatest adventure of your life. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.